for stopping by. Today, we're going to be talking to some real people about some real things. Hopefully get some real laughs from some real stories. If you like it, that would be nice. If not, no one really cares. I'm Matt Lavelle. He's Tom Byers. Our guest today is Jill Byers. This is the Working Perspectives podcast. Let's get started. All right, so Shake, let me tell you a little something about our guest today. All right?
I can't wait.
So, unbeknownst to some people, but beknownst to a few, I've had a few girlfriends in my time, seen a few, been there a bunch. And
Allegedly.
I'd always thought of when I do have a girlfriend, a serious one, because a lot of the times they weren't serious. But when I do have a girlfriend, I'd always in the back of my mind hoped that my girlfriend / whatever would be friends with this lady we have on the podcast today. She's
must be someone special.
Yeah, she's married to one of my good friends, and I've always seen her around. Always thought she was a classy lady. Always held herself in, good rapport, high esteem, but I always thought she was a good person and a nice person. So I would always want someone I would date to be friends with a person like that. Right?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I never wanted to date any of her friends. Let's make that very clear. But I would want someone I would date to be friends with her, right? So let's fast forward after me knowing Jill for, I guess, like 10 years, maybe longer, right? Because I've known, so known her for 10 years. I meet what would be my wife, right? And then she and Jill had never met before. I then make the introduction, right? And right away, as I predicted, they hit it off. So I knew, I was like, okay, if her and Jill are friends, this one's definitely a keeper, right? I end up proposing to this lady who is now my wife, right? And her and Jill start going on having friendship things together. They would go to like bridesmaids parties and bridal showers and all that fun stuff. So at one of these bridal showers, my wife came home afterwards and she was really upset. And it wasn't because it wasn't because she was upset that something happened at the party. She was upset at the thought that she would never get a party like that, right? She was like, in her mind, she thought she wasn't special enough, or she didn't have good enough friends, or someone that liked her enough as a friend to be able to give her a party like that. Then it broke my heart. So then I ended up proposing to her. She then asked Jill to be one of her bridesmaids. And Jill wasn't the maid of honor, but she took on the role as if she was. And I watched from afar as Jill took what was a shit show and turned it into one of the best days of her life, which was her bridal shower. She was overfilled with tears of joy and happiness, and it just made her day, right? So
she was an undercover maid of honor. Is that what we're hearing here?
I mean, she should have been the maid of honor. She was she should have been honorary maid of honor. Yeah. So, but she took over the bridal shower and gave, the woman I love the best day, and I couldn't thank her enough. And that's why I was like, all right, good thing I thought about this years ago, that they should be friends, right?
Yeah, really, you deserve all the credit, I think. Is that what you're driving at? If
honestly, if we add everything up, the one component that this couldn't survive without would be me. Like, take me out of the picture. They're not meeting. She's not getting engaged to and having a bridal shower and being happy on the best day, So with me there, I was able to put them together, and then Jill knocked it out of the park and was just incredible. So
two peas in a pod.
And they've hit it off ever since. And I'm really actually happy that they're that close because,
absolutely,
like I said, Jill's an ace. So what I want to do now is I want to bring her on. She works in regulatory affairs and biotech, which for those dumbasses out there who don't know, means she's dealing with some, with how the meat gets made, I guess, right? How the sausage is made, right? Is that the saying, right? I don't know.
How the sausage is made, yes.
Yeah. So we all get these nice
It's the
fancy
pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah. We all get these nice fancy drugs that we love to take and we love to pop and all this fun stuff, but we don't know how it gets there. And Jill here is one of the main components of getting them on the shelf so we can get our addictions filled and, feed the need. All right. So, Jill, welcome to the podcast. How are you? I know you're great. Quick question, real fast. Have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? And if yes, what are your thoughts? Go.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Got it. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I have seen Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm pro Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, for Christ's sake!
Wait, boy.
I think. Well, actually,
Here we go.
When you asked me that, I was picturing the other one, the Beatles movie.
Oh, good lord!
Which one was the Beatles movie? Oh, what? The musical.
Yesterday.
Is
it
a
slightly
doc?
different concept.
No.
It's a really cool concept.
Oh, is that what the dude who the world forgets Beatles music and then he's doing so good? Really like that movie.
Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
When did you write that?
I didn't write it. Paul McCartney wrote it. The Beatles.
Who?
John, Paul, George and Ringo, the Beatles.
No. Stop it.
Yesterday. It's one of the greatest songs ever written.
Well, it's not Coldplay. It's not Fix You.
Yeah.
But if I have to think about Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't remember, so I'll be whatever you want me to be on that one.
Well, I would want you to say it's a garbage movie because it's a garbage movie.
It's garbage.
Very
Throw
good.
it in the trash.
And this is the end. This is our divorce.
So, if those listening haven't guessed already, Tom Byers is actually married to Jill Byers. So our own executive producer / editor outkicked his coverage big time and snagged one.
Yeah.
And
one thing you have to remember is that if there's one thing that podcast producers get, it's the ladies.
Oh. So. Sure thing. That's why you always carry
tons of money and tons of ladies.
That's it. You're just swimming in it, pal. How could you not? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So let's get started. So Jill, before we get into your current vocation, I want to talk a little job history because I know you're just like the rest of us. Now you might be swimming in the corporate world, but before you were, dragging the depths of the underground just like the rest of us. So if you had to remember going back, what was your first ever job? Like real jobs. It can be under the table, but I'm not talking about, raking leaves for $2 a day. I'm saying like, what was your real first job that you had to do that you had to be at?
First job so what I consider my first job to fit that criteria is Maggie Moo's ice cream scooper. Is that real enough?
Oh, yes, 100%. Didn't you work there with Jesse?
And John Bell.
What?
He was at Subway. He used to karaoke into the mop handle with we had like a glass divider between us.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to know John Bell. I met John Bell before I met Tom Byers.
Yeah.
Them being neighbors, though, you'd think it would have just happened the other way around. But no.
Yeah, that's
stole my
you
heart.
had a real nice. That's a nice crew to have, especially at a bad job. That nothing beats having somebody to be in the trenches with you at least.
Could not agree more. There was
a glass separator, so
well, you had
perfect distance.
You had a perfect, you were sealed off from John.
Yeah. as
Oh,
most
so-
should be.
John, who I'm sure we'll have on the podcast very soon.
Oh, I cannot wait. He will be a great episode. But he's
So
also
what did-
nuts.
What did he do? So he would sing and like basically turn whatever song was into
We-
karaoke?
We would so his store, he worked at Subway, which had a glass wall between us, Maggie Moo's and Subway. And Subway would close like an hour earlier or so.
Yeah.
And he would be mopping up, his store would be closed, and I was an ice cream store in Pennsylvania, so I was not busy at all usually.
Yeah.
And so we would just be staring at each other, like having the same piped in music, but
Oh.
separated through a wall. And when he would clean up, he would just like karaoke on the end of the broom, the mop handle, and just whatever songs we were both hearing. But we had never spoken to each other. It was just, okay. Seeing him
my
across,
God.
but
I
That's
guarantee
nice.
then, if I know Belle like I think I do, right? So hold on, just to go back to describe it, you guys are in a shopping center and you have like you're in a building and your shops are next to each other, and the only thing that separates your shops is this glass wall. So
Yeah.
you guys closed an hour after Subway did, and John Bell would be mopping the floor of the Subway, and then the
Yeah.
music playing over the speakers, he'd be singing along to it into the mop handle, but he's not like faking it. He's going balls out.
He's singing and probably air guitaring and stuff. And little did I know that would be the next door neighbor of my like future husband. But,
Yeah.
I'm just seeing this creature across the hall.
Greatness.
And this was
it's all about
before
proximity.
this is before you and Tom started dating.
I didn't even know Tom. Yeah.
I
That's
guarantee 100% that Belle told Alex about you, about this girl that works next to Maggie Moo's. He's like, I think this girl's got a crush on me. She always watches me singing to the mop. Man, I can't.
He probably told me about it.
Yeah. That's probably how you heard about it. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, you really,
That's so good.
man, you really messed up there, Jill. I mean, to think you could have been married to
I
Belle
know.
all this time.
What a
Golly.
miss.
Yeah.
I've been settling ever since, I have to
Not bad.
say.
And that's really
Feel it in my soul.
when it comes down to it, that's like a rounding error. We're right next door to each other.
Yeah.
What could have been?
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions. Would he restrict his performance if a customer came into the ice cream shop?
I'm
And
sure not.
So
Oh,
the customer
my
comes
word.
in, they order this ridiculous ice cream cone with a bunch of mix-ins. For those of you out
Sure.
there who don't know what Maggie Moo's is
Don't,
or
if you
was,
say
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. It
Why?
was
What is it? Are you guys like arch enemies? You and
We're rivals. They're not to be spoken of.
You and Stone
to
Cold?
this day, yeah.
Cold Stone Creamery.
I mean,
But
yeah.
Maggie Moo's was a place that was maybe similar to Cold Stone
No.
in some ways, but maybe not in
Cold
quality.
Stone
They
copied
elevated.
Maggie Moo's. There
Yeah,
it is.
we
There it is.
elevated the experience.
But anyway, so a customer comes in.
Mm.
They order this ridiculous ice cream with all kinds of mix-ins. There's like 50 different
Bunch of
mix-ins.
schmutz.
And then they turn around waiting for Jill to make it and scoop it. And there's this lunatic in a completely empty, mopped up Subway dancing around to probably like a Bee Gees song or something.
Do you know what Belle's go-to karaoke song is? Because I know this.
We all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Psycho Killer, right?
Yes.
He
Yes.
brings I've
And-
seen him bring the house down at
Yes.
multiple bars with he really does. Psycho Killer is his jam. So I can imagine
It
he's
is.
practicing for Psycho Killer later
And
on in his life.
he does a very awesome thing at the beginning of the rendition where he takes the monitor where they have the words and he
Uh-huh.
turns it around so he can't see the words because he knows them all by memory. And he needs everyone to know that, this is coming straight from the soul,
Hey, look, I don't need to cheat with your monitor. I'm challenging myself with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and
Uh,
another question, Jill, I have is, what is the song rotation that you guys were dealing with? Was it like the same
Oh,
5
man.
songs,
Yeah,
or
was
was
it
it
like
a nice mix?
station or what did they have?
It
Because
was
that's early
before
2000s.
Spotify, so
Yeah.
it was probably just like it wasn't a CD, it was like a radio station.
We had that at Vinny T's. It was like a 5 CD changer, right? That would just constantly
Mhm.
play the same
Yeah.
5 CDs that had like, like 100 songs on each. But it was like I remember Burn, you met Burn Podcasty. He used to say that if he did ever end up in the loony bin, it would be because that music was just constantly running through his head, and that's all he was. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I worked at a Wawa third shift for one summer,
Hmm.
and I learned a lot, met a lot of great friends,
Sure.
learned what the term lot lizard is, which we will we'll have to discuss at another time for just a little teaser for the audience out there. Tune in next time. We'll discuss lot lizards.
Yeah.
But one thing that they had was like maybe, I don't know, 8 songs over and over again. And I loved some of the songs, Hall and Oates,
Yep.
like I said, Bee Gees,
Yep.
all kinds of great music. But man, if you have to listen to the same 6 songs, 8 songs over and over again, it's like torture. And when I quit, the lady that was the manager there, the head manager, she said, like, what is like give me one thing that we can improve with Wawa. And I said, please fix the music, make it so that we can control the music. And she immediately just goes, yeah, that's what everyone says. We're not changing the music. And I was like, all right, well, see, have a good life.
Did you work at? Because I worked at Wawa too.
I worked right by the Turnpike entrance in Culpsville.
Yeah. All right. So, not to get onto our work stuff or John Bell's work stuff. So, Jillian Michael, as I call you, it's actually Jillian May Byers is your full name, but either way. So, Jill, so you're at Maggie Moo's, and that's when you're in like high school because originally you were born in California, correct? And then you moved to Lansdale, Pennsylvania, land of the free, home of the brave. At the age of 14, is that right?
13, yep.
13. Yikes. So you were in 8th grade when you moved here?
Sort of.
Yeah.
I moved to PA twice, from California, so that was one of them.
All right. Sounds fun. All right. So cool. So you were in Northern California too, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. San Francisco, the Bay Area?
Yep, that's me. Yep, Silicon Valley.
Oh, that's in Northern California?
Yeah.
Oh, I always thought that was near LA.
Oh no, definitely not.
Well,
Fremont, where I'm from, is where Tesla is. And then my mom used to work in the same like industry complexes like Bill Gates and things like that. And her favorite story is the Terminator movie where they blow up a whole building was across the street from her work, and they all took their lunch break to watch the building explode.
Terminator 2?
I think so, yeah.
Wow, that's badass. What if, imagine this, right? Imagine this is, because that would have happened pre Bill Gates inventing the internet. Imagine if your mom's standing there, and I've seen your mom, she's a lovely lady, and she's standing there watching the building go down, and then a nerdy Billy Gates walks up next to her, says, "Oh my God, can you believe this building? This is crazy." And instead of saying like, "Hey, let's go get a cup of coffee or something,"
oh my God,
she says, "Beat it, weirdo. I'm not hanging out with you nerd boy." And then he takes that rejection and builds, the internet.
Yeah, maybe my mom was the inspiration for the internet.
You guys keep saying the internet. He did not invent
do the internet. He was PC.
Personal computer.
Yeah.
Okay, right. And I know my history, pal. All right. Could you imagine you could have been Jill Gates?
Only.
I'm looking at her right now, and I'm seeing some similar features to, just that standard Bill Gates face. And
beam me up, Bill.
Yeah, maybe you can make a claim.
That's fine. I'm where I'm at.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, then make a claim.
Any of his money would be useless.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
yeah,
Old
that's that.
Jill
So
Gates.
talk about Fremont a little bit. So for the audience
so-
out there that might not know Fremont, explain that place to us.
Well, hold on. So let's timeline this. So you move here when you're 13. You get the job at Maggie Moo's when you're 14, still in high school. Then after Maggie, how long were you at Maggie Moo's? Because you were there for a few years because you met Shake while you were working at Maggie Moo's. Is that correct?
That's true.
Okay, because I remember Jesse would say that, because I remember, because I think I had met you, or someone had said you were Shake's girlfriend, and I would hang out with Jesse, and we would go there, or something like that. Or she knew you, but whatever. Also, another person who had a crush on you besides Belle, just FYI. So either way, yeah.
Who did?
Jesse.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Okay. So, how long were you at Maggie Moo's singing karaoke on a broomstick?
Well, I've had no gaps in job history from that job, so I went straight from there to Pier 1 Imports. So I don't know how long I was there, but maybe, what do you think? 2 years or something?
So wait, you went from Maggie Moo's, then you worked retail at Pier 1 Imports?
That's right.
This is our favorite time of the day.
This is my favorite wall.
This is my favorite chair.
This is our favorite store. These are our favorite kids.
This is my favorite picture.
This is my favorite place to work.
This is my favorite guy.
This is our favorite place to eat out.
What's my favorite store? Pier 1.
Pier 1.
Pier 1.
Pier 1.
We all have our favorites. Come find yours today at Pier 1 Imports.
This is my favorite dog.
3 years there.
Oh, God. Honestly, that's one thing. Knock on wood. I haven't done it yet. Doesn't mean I won't. Probably when Ilvia divorces me, I'll have to get a second job working retail. But so I've never worked retail yet, but I can only imagine it is as bad as advertised.
Well, my favorite time at Maggie Moo's was when people would come in like stoned or drunk, and I would convince them to just try every single mix-in as if I invented that concept, because our manager didn't even like us having a take a penny, leave a penny, because he wanted all of the pennies. So I felt like I was already elevating my career just preying on the weak of from I don't know, whenever the hours were 8 to 9. Creepy people that used to come in there.
Probably get some weird characters coming into Maggie Moo's.
Yeah. Like
That's like you're over there on like by White's Road. That's there's some creep balls over there. Okay, so you're helping out the potheads at Maggie Moo's.
Yeah.
And then Pier 1 Imports, what's that like when you're dealing with, as opposed to, because I have to imagine those people can get kind of testy. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, they all thought we were on commission, so they really made young Jill work pretty hard. Like I had one man, I was trying to carry a sofa out to his car, and his wife attempted to help me, and he stopped her and said, "Don't do that. That's why she gets commission." So I carried out like a sofa bed to someone's car by myself. People were very, yeah.
Yeah, people can't see you, but you're 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, and you played for the best college in the land for 3 years. But that sofa bed had to weigh more than you at the time because you're in high school.
He watched me for more than an hour drag it out from the floor to the car and insisted on not helping me.
An hour?
Yeah.
An hour?
Yeah.
An hour?
Yes, because like, how am I going to pull it from the middle where nobody else is going to help me? I'm in that stupid apron, and then his wife is like cautiously watching me drag it out into the road.
What a bastard! God,
they were all bastards pretty much there.
I hope
Not even my worst customer.
Yeah, what were some of the items that they sold there? Because I know there's like a bunch. It's all like high end, overpriced, weirdly.
What is the Pier 1 Imports? Is that where Ames used to be? Is that what I'm thinking, or is that
no? 5 points.
5 points. Yeah.
Oh, I know where it is. Yeah. So, okay. I guess we'll have to remove that. But so Pier 1 Imports, you got Johnny Salami doesn't want to help poor little Jill move a 200-pound sofa out of Pier 1 Imports to throw into the back of his Chevy Eldorado. And golly, that had to be rough. How many? So that was more, Pier 1 was more of like a furniture kind of place. Was that? I've never been.
Furniture, candles, and like kitchen, like knickknacks.
And they had you in the furniture? You're a candles gal all the way.
I'm telling you.
No 200-pound candles. Jesus.
Thanks, Matt. If only you were there.
Oh, had I been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chivalry is dead. How old was that guy?
Well, I don't know. Probably like 40 or something. So, they were all, the BMW Mercedes crowd, but still like shopping at Pier 1 and not Ethan Allen. So they're a little cranky. Either way.
Man, what class warfare.
What a bastard. I cannot believe that. I cannot believe, like, there's no way. Shake, I know you would probably be the same way. But if I saw little Jill, high school, even if it's just a little high school kid, he could be a boy too. If they're having that much trouble that it's taking them this long to get a sofa bed out of a store, like, I'd have to be like, hey, let me give you a hand. Also, I don't want to wait an hour for some little weak ass to push his bed out of a damn store.
Yeah, at the very least, it's got to be efficient, even if you're going to be a jerk about it.
Right.
I absolutely know that situation where you at some point you have to step in and help out.
What kind of commission could it have been too? It must have been like a $400 sofa.
She was really racking it in.
Can I, even if I was getting commission, what are you hitting me up for? Yeah.
Well, should we discuss how Jill's illustrious career at Pier 1 came to an end?
Oh, let's do it. Yes, please. Let's. I didn't even
Jill,
know.
Is this something that you were willing to discuss?
Sure. What do you have in mind?
What do I have in mind?
Yeah.
How your Pier 1 Imports career ended?
Uh-huh.
There might have been a certain traumatic event that happened to you?
Yes.
Well, do you want to tell us what it was?
Yeah, I stopped working there because I was robbed at gunpoint after helping a man pick out a present for his grandmother. It was all a ruse.
This is a bizarre story.
Okay, so whoa. Lots thrown at me. Okay, so we got a guy walks in, says, Grandma needs a present. And you say, well, absolutely, sir. I'm an excellent employee, and I'd be more than happy to help you find a gift for your grandma. Right?
Right.
So then, do you remember what the gift was?
I do. I even remember the scents. Yeah, because he was milking me for, again, it felt like an hour. So he must have just been really nervous. But why would you walk into a store? He had like a loaded gun. Why would you walk into a store with a loaded gun, like just trying to like chat up this person for that long? And like I took him to different departments and tried to like understand what his grandmother's needs would be.
Yeah.
So we like he started off like maybe get something for the kitchen, but he settled on a reed diffuser scented with cypress rose and a matching candle.
So what? First of all, did you walk up to him or did he come up to you?
He came up to me.
And you were where? At like behind the counter? Or?
I don't know. I was just somewhere on the floor and he asked for advice on picking out a present.
So after showing him around, he chooses a reed diffuser. And can you explain to us what a reed diffuser is?
Hold on, real quick though, Jill. Did he have a hat on or a hood or anything?
I mean, my memory is not too good. The way I picture him is he had like a white hat on. And like
this
gray
guy's
hoodie.
walking around a place that has cameras everywhere. I'm assuming, right?
And a cash drawer that maxed out at like $200. So
Christ, what a moron. Okay, so yeah, what is a reed diffuser?
A reed diffuser is just like those. They're like a jar filled with like oil, and then like sticks, reeds that stick out and like disperse the scent.
I've seen them.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like an alternative to a candle.
Yeah.
If you don't want to light candles because you're afraid of, fires or whatever, you can have these things sitting around and they don't work
Okay.
as well. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
And
They're
they don't
fine.
they last like a piece of juicy fruit. They're awful.
Yeah. This story is the best because you get an in-depth understanding of reed diffusers and also the most terrifying moment in a human being's life.
Okay, so then, all right, so, not to get too dark. All right, so we have reed diffusers, right? Then he gets the match. So what was the scent of the reed diffuser?
It was cypress rose. I
And
went
then he
through and I got all the scents for him. Like I said, well, these because they split them out in sections, like spice scent, or if you want a grass scent, or aqua, or floral. And I said, floral is popular with people that might be in your grandmother's age group. If you're not thinking about like a kitchen, like he was looking at salt and pepper shakers that were in the shape of like chickens before that or something.
The whole time you're doing a great job of like,
Thank you.
yeah, you're like, oh man, you know what? They have the lavender, but that's more of a younger crowd. Your
Yeah,
grandma
that's a
would
young
really
man's game.
appreciate the
Yeah.
whatever aged rose.
I'm
And
not
those
phoning it in.
chicken- Yeah, those chicken, you're working on commission, right? Jeez.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. This grandmother may as well be my own grandmother because I want this gift to be as perfect for her as it would any other human being.
Got to get that invisible commission.
Yeah.
You know what? Me and Tom talked about this previously, and it happens to me too. And I think it's just because this is the type of people we are, because we are blue collar type of people. Where you went to that job, and even though you didn't like it, you still did the best job you could, right?
Yeah.
So, and Shake would say the same, exactly. At Babies R Us or any other job, you didn't go there and just like be like a loaf. You were there to work and do a job, and you tried, right? And nothing would piss me off more than seeing people not putting the same effort in as me at a job.
Exactly.
So either way, you got John Wayne there. He's got his gun. Walking around the entire time, walking around with a loaded gun with a girl in high school, and she's pointing out different scents, being very polite. I'm assuming you're a polite person, being very polite, being very knowledgeable, pointing out different things to get. And he's just going, you know what? She probably would like that better. And she would probably like, was he like engaging with you?
I think so. He didn't seem weird until he was pointing a gun at me. So he was really under my radar until that moment.
Yeah, that must have been a really bizarre situation.
You know what it could have been? If I'm putting myself in this guy's place and I'm robbing you, Jill, I'm going in there and I'm like, okay, the big thing here is the register. That's where all the moolah's at, right? So if there are people at the register, then I have to wait till they're gone so I can get this person alone at the register, right?
True.
So
yeah.
I wonder if there was a customer that's being a pain in the ass at the register. It's like one person being a huge pain in the ass at the register. So he's got to waste time with you talking about grandmom until that person's done being a pain in the ass at the register. And then you guys can go up there alone and he can pull the gun on you. Do you think that's probably what could have happened, at least, in my mind, thinking. But I don't know.
And my manager, now that I'm thinking, you're making me think about it, she was in the back, and it was just me and that woman because it was probably during the week or something. Yeah. So he was probably just waiting for her to go in the back and grab a lamp or something and try and get me alone. But you'd think, I mean, obviously he's not a genius, but like maybe have the manager open the cash drawer, not the high school kid, because that became a problem, was just getting the cash drawer open.
Okay. So then let's move on. So he picks out the thing. He picks out the reed diffusers with the matching scented candle. You then go to the register. And you're like, okay, sir, the grand total is going to be $27, and I think your grandmom's really going to love this. And he says, fuck my grandma, empty that cash. And what did he say? Did he say anything?
No, he didn't say anything. I was ringing him up, signed him up for a loyalty program thing. Then
Wait a sec. Wait, is this true?
Contact information?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's real,
No
but
way.
I remember because you record
He signed
it.
up for the loyalty?
Yeah, you write down their phone number on like a receipt paper for the day, and I wrote down his phone number. I don't know if it ended up being his.
Jeez. I'm beginning to think this poor guy had a good idea.
Yeah.
And really, by the end of it, he just decided to pull a gun on you because of all the stuff you were saying.
You think I inspired him?
I'm wondering if he's talking to you this whole time, thinking like, man, this girl's really nice. She seems like she would like guns. And then instead of pulling the gun on you, he's like, hey, I have a gun. Have you ever seen one of these? You seem cool. Do you like guns? And then right away you're like, gun, take everything in the drawer.
That's so good. So he signs up for the loyalty program.
He signs up for the loyalty program.
I cannot believe that. He signs up for the loyalty for like.
I wonder if he's redeemed anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's probably out of the clink by now.
That would be hysterical. That would be hysterical.
My God, I don't have the receipt.
So,
anyway, go ahead.
You sign him up for the loyalty program. Then
sign him up, whatever. I do my thing on the screen, and next time I look up at him, he's got it like his gun like at his belly button, and he isn't saying anything. He's just like making eye contact with me, and I like didn't say anything because I didn't know. My brain wasn't at that level, like I'm thinking Cypress Rose and grandmother. So he's just staring at me and I'm staring at him. And that seems to go on for a while until he says, I need some money. And I said, oh, okay. and I just continue to stand there. Like I needed the instruction because my brain like just turned off. Sure. So I just stood there and he said, well, how do you open the drawer? And I said, okay. And then I said, you need to be a manager to open the drawer. And he said, well, ring me out as like a cash customer. And I said, okay, do you have any cash? And he said, no. And I said, okay. And then I hit like the cash button and opened the drawer. And then I didn't move or like, that's just the thing that I remember was like, not like, I turned into like basically a human rock and like I didn't think about what to do in that transaction. So he like had to guide me through, coach me through being robbed. So I just opened the drawer and then he like said, can you lift it up? I can't reach it. And then like I had to lift it up and then he like, I held it there as he's like squirreling around in the drawer and like he said, what about the others? And I said, I don't know how to open the others. And he said, forget it, because I couldn't think. So he just left after stealing like the first drawer and then left.
Did he take the gift for the grandma?
He did, yeah. I had it all bagged up for him, wrapped up. But there's 4 cash registers, so he like gave up on me because I was being too incompetent.
Man,
how much? It was 200. You said was in the drawer. Like
if that, I don't even. It may have been just like $19. It was a weekday at a Pier 1 in a cash drawer. Like, what are you aiming for? Well, and the backstory is that when they caught him. And like there was like a report, and what he did was like before then he had stopped at a Tantopia to try and rob them, and they also didn't have any cash, so he just stole some like preloaded gift cards and parked in reverse with his license plate parking at the window. So when he pulled away, they took down his license plate number, and then he made it over to me to go shopping for his grandmom, and then they caught him.
Oh my God.
Jesus. That's really scary thinking about that now.
Well, and then
considering how terribly you handled I mean, who can handle it the right way, but I'm saying you weren't complying with him. Whether you wanted to or not, you weren't.
But then there was
and I mean I'm thinking you are really lucky you didn't get shot.
And the thing is it was so subtle. Like there was a person next in line and they wanted to be checked out. Like they didn't even know what had just happened.
Yeah.
So I I just like stood there and I said, I'm going to need a second. And I just like stood there while that person stared at me, like staring off into space. And then eventually my manager came out and she said, what's going on here? And I said, I think there's been a robbery. And she said, are you okay? And then I like just started crying and like waited in the back for Tom to pick me up.
Oh my God. That is sick.
Jill, could you imagine if you didn't give customer service, like good customer service, he would have shot
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Jill,
Unreal.
You know what's up? I mean, Jill, I know that's traumatic for you, and I'm not trying to take anything away from you, but I can even see it in you now, Shake, that when Ilvi has told me stories similar to this where something's happened to her and I wasn't there to like defend her or help her, and it gets me so mad and like so bothered. You know, so I know this story does that to you, Shake. You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, this has always been like the go-to fun might not be the right word, but interesting story to bring up and tell people about. Just whenever I remember that Jill worked at Pier 1, I instinctively have to tell people, oh yeah, she got held up there. Yeah. And it's been nothing but like a joke for me, but this, I'm not kidding. Like that's like intense, man. That's wild stuff.
It makes you so angry. You know what I mean? Yeah, it makes you
and just empathetic for the first time with poor Jill. Like for her, it's not a joke.
It'll be okay. It'll be all right, guys.
I'm gonna be okay, guys.
I feel like life has been weird. That same year, my little brother got held up at gunpoint, but with a fake gun, and then my mom got hit by a drunk driver. Yeah. All in the same like section, like season.
So let's time out real quick. A little story for you, Jill. Brando. So at Tom's bachelor party, right? Your husband Tom, at Tom's bachelor party, I had one of my buddies I work with. He was in a hotel that was directly across the street from our hotel. And he could see into our hotel room, right? And then he texted me. He's like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I was like, "Nothing, chilling. I got to go to my car. You want to meet me?" And like went to my car, talked, met one of his buddies, said, "What's up, man?" You know. And he's like, "Dude, you guys got chicks in the room already?" And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "No." And he was like, "Dude, we saw a chick in there with long hair." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "That's actually the bride's brother who has the long hair." Yeah, so they thought
beautiful flowing hair.
Yeah.
That's an incredible. I never heard that story. That's great. Ocean City, Maryland. That's where that was.
Yeah, and another caveat. Me and Brando actually went out for a nice steak dinner, just the two of us.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's man, you got a date. Your buddy walked into the restaurant and saw the back of Brandon's head with long hair and thought you were there with a lady.
Well, we went to this place and it was so like something had happened where like there was like a split up, but I was like, Brando, like something was going on, but I was like, either way, I was like, Brando, how about I get you out of the house for a little bit? And he's like, yes, please do. So I was like, all right, let's go grab. I really want a steak, so let's go. So we went to this place that was like a super high end place, and it was like in the middle. It was like everyone was coming back from the beach and like the bars, and we had come back early. So I was like, dude, I'm not waiting. Let's go, you know? And we eventually all met up later and ate and got whatever. But so me and him went to this place, and it's a super high end place. And I go in there and I had like a button down and like boat shoes and whatever. And he walks in his black like army boots and like ripped jeans and his hair and like a death metal t-shirt. And I was
like,
yep,
that sounds right.
And he told the waitress, he's like, I want a bourbon and a steak that's bloody as hell. And I was like, this fucking guy is just the best.
Man, that rules.
Yeah. So me and Brando hit it off. So, all right. So let's do this then. We're going to skip the timeline a little bit because I want to really talk about the job you're doing now. So I know we had the incident at Pier 1 Imports. Hope that guy's grandmom had a nice birthday. And then, and then, so I know after that you had like a Babies R Us gimmick and like a bunch of things. And from what I've seen on the outside of the pharmaceutical company, you guys do a lot of bouncing around, at least it seems, where it's like these women are they're just chasing the higher thing and going up and like they're being recruited. Like women are like these women are so in need and valued that they're being recruited by all these different pharmaceutical companies to fill these different roles, and that's just getting higher and higher and higher and higher. So right now, Jill, can you give us an idea of what your day-to-day does and what kind of things you're handling now?
I'm mostly just a robot working on email, just replying and saying friendly follow-up, Jill.
So tomorrow morning you're gonna wake up, right? You get your coffee, you tell Shake to get his ass in gear, you whip up some waffles, then you're all set for the day. You sit down at your computer. What's the first thing you do after logging in?
I'm just literally reading email. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so your email, but what kind of email? I mean, I obviously don't get into too much because I don't want to get into trouble and all that stuff. But what are these emails for? Now, like, say, like, okay, so go ahead, please.
So right now I have some stuff was just submitted to the FDA. So today, yes. And what we have to do is, if it's a big program, we stagger which health authority something gets submitted to. So the FDA was first, and next will be the EMEA, which is the European one, and we're doing it globally. So I guess there's going to be a lot of stuff to do. So I was seeing that over the weekend. We did the US one.
How many different like global like FDAs are there? Like you said, FDA, EMA, which would be like the European one. Like, are there like a bunch of different? Like, obviously, there's probably got to be a China one has to have its own.
Yeah.
An Asian, like Russia probably has its own. But then like Japan, Vietnam, Korea, like they got to group some together. You know what I mean? You have the South American countries too. But people don't know this, and I found this out, and this to me is fascinating stuff. So if you're a company and you want to release a drug, that's not just like make it, create it, send it out. That does not happen. The stuff you have to go through, just the testing of it cost millions of dollars. So like say you wanted to do something for, let's just pick now this is nothing. I'm just spitballing. Let's say something for like asthma, right? So say there's a guy out there, he's like, look, the pharmaceutical company's like, look, we got a chemist. This guy's a rock star. He made something for asthma, right? Then they have to test it on, and the asthma is made for this specific type of asthma. So like, look, you got asthma A, B, C, D. You can get this drug. So you have to find all these people that fit the age, the weight, and have the condition to take this drug. So you have to find all these people. Then you have to get them cleared physically by a doctor. Then you have to have someone that monitors the station that they're going to be testing these at. So someone that goes in there to check like, hey, all this was done. This was kept clean. This is done. This was all set up. They have this, this, and this. Then you have someone that not only monitors the people getting tested, you have someone monitoring the stuff they're testing them with, monitoring the facilities they're getting tested in, monitoring the budget they have for this certain testing facility, right?
Yeah.
All of this just so someone could go psh, psh, into their nose at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff is crazy to me. So in the grand scheme of things, and I know it's a lot, where are you fitting into that type of picture? Are you in that side or somewhere else?
No, so I think your wife Ilvia does a lot of the clinical stuff, so that would be more like clinical. I don't even deal with any of that. What I do is I would just self-describe as the most boring part, which is regulatory affairs, which is how I describe it to like people that are outside of industry or even within industry. I say it's like if you hired someone to be, or hired an entire department, regulatory affairs, to be an expert at the DMV. Like, we just have to know all of the rules and regulations for each country. And all it is just knowing how to work within those rules and those systems. And nobody really, like, it's just like, it's like red tape and weird like lingo and weird like ways around. Yeah.
But this is even more fascinating because this is the
Oh.
stuff you really know. Think about this, right? Think about this. I want to get a drug made and I want it. You're not even saying made. You're saying testing regulations, right? Or all of it.
No, the whole thing. The whole thing.
So you need to, you could know that, like, look, this guy, he's operating out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or whatever, Pennsylvania, and in Pennsylvania, it's in the United States jurisdiction. So that means that if you want to get this drug approved in this area, that you have to have at least 100 candidates pass on this, and it can't show any of this systems. Like, you would know the exact number of things that they would need to get done to qualify to even have it put in front of a board to get approved as a drug to be sent onto the shelves, right? So the laboratory would be where it starts, right?
Yeah, it could be where it's the birth of like a drug product. So like wherever that starts, like different companies might like buy drug products or programs from other companies that are just started like at a university or like an actual small biotech place. But the essential part is like the birth of whatever you think you've discovered. And then you start doing testing in animals, which there's like guidelines and things to do for that testing. Whoa. And there's like good
time out. Sorry.
Yeah.
So they're testing on animals. There has to be specific animals you can test. You can't just test. I can't just grab, somebody's hamster. Like, hey,
if it's all everything's for the purpose of formal submission to a health authority. So with that, you have to play by the rules of like what's called GCP, good clinical practice, and GMP, good manufacturing process. So there's like a set rule of standards of like what animals and where you can get those animals from and like everything. So
like a racket.
Yeah, and even like so back up to, like zoom out to regulatory affairs, like the product of regulatory affairs is what it says on like the label of which isn't even my department, that's commercial, but the label on your drug that it says like sometimes you might have a heart attack or get depression and stuff. Yeah. All of that is leading up to like having that information on the side of the bottle. That's the whole process of drug development, is getting like there's like arguments back and forth about what you can even write on there. So that's the like down to where you source the cotton ball in your ibuprofen, like where you got the cotton from has to be like specific.
So yeah. You think now if you're a drug company like let's say like a Merck, right? So Merck then knows all this. So then when you're a big company, does that mean that you have a place that has the animals, you have a place that has cotton, like you're like, look, I'm doing this, I own all these, they're all regulated, they all fit the scheme, they all paid up to be part of the whatever thing, right? So that's like massive job creation there, because not only do you have someone that's like producing the animals and the cotton, then you have someone that has to monitor where they're produced. You have someone that has to check to make sure that they pass the inspection of where they're being produced. You have to have someone that makes sure that they keep up with their insurance codes of the area they're being produced, and then also has to keep up with the governing body of like, look, you have a yearly thing you have to pay, and you have to pass this yearly exam or monthly exam or whatever it is to even qualify to have your animals sent there. So if like, say for instance, you get someone's animals, right, and they didn't pass their thing that of like, say they didn't get their thing passed and still sent you the animals, that could wreck your whole testing and you could have to start from scratch all over again. Am I right?
Yeah. So like if you were a scientist in like a laboratory, you could, and I'm not an expert on this, but like you could essentially get a printout of what are acceptable animal like studies.
Yep.
And you would hire like a regulatory person to like identify that stuff, but you could do that and then start testing those animals with like, and then you have like data points that you have to like know. I mean, you have to hit certain criteria and make sure it's how it works slightly, I think, is you have to be able to prove that it's either more effective or more safe than what's already out on the market. So like
wow.
you can't
Yeah.
create another like heartburn medication that's exactly the same as the one that's already out there. So they control like how many of those you can have. And like for example, that's just like I'm pretty sure that's only the US. Like I have people that are Australian where the government funds the all of the research and they set the rules for all of that stuff. So I don't know.
Like so say for like let's talk like and this is just ballpark. So like when they got Aleve out, right? Aleve was I think like the most recent, let's say the most recent pain relief med that came out, right? And so Aleve had to be better than ibuprofen and Advil and all that stuff. It couldn't be just the exact same formula because otherwise it's just Aleve, it's just that. So they had to have something a little different that still fit into the regulation, like the government regulations. That's crazy.
That's why there's always a race to get out there on the market first. And then also like once you get out there first, you have, I think it's 10 years to use your like patent, and then it can become a generic drug. So that's why things are more expensive too, to get out there first, because you can't piggyback on most people's science because you're the newest, greatest thing. And then on top of it, you're going to run it that whatever is going to dry up because it's going to turn into a generic at some point, and then you're going to not have any profit on it.
Okay, I see. So
and something that I think you guys may have touched on or may not have is something I really didn't know about until I heard these stories from Jill is like I was like everyone else. When I think of pharmaceutical companies or biotech companies, I'm picturing giant, massive, huge companies worth billions of dollars that are Merck and, GSK, all these like giant companies.
Yeah. Johnson
and
Johnson.
What I've come to realize from the stories from Jill is that a lot of times, I mean, there is these giant companies and they do have research teams that develop things, but there's also little teeny tiny companies. It's kind of like
They're mostly the ones that do the research. Most giant companies don't do the research. They just buy the research from little companies.
Right. It's like a food chain situation where there's the little ones swimming around and the giant whales swimming around, and sometimes the whales absorb the little ones and take them on. But in the end, they all have to like pay the piper. Like they all have to submit to a what's it called, a health authority.
Yeah.
And like Jill, with her analogy, she was saying that it's like going to the DMV and having, a special DMV lawyer with you or paperwork expert. When these companies, whether it's little teeny tiny, Jill Byers Pharmaceutical, or if it's Merck, they all have to submit these applications to the FDA or whatever your authority is. And even the application costs millions and millions of dollars. So whether you're the little company or the massive company, if you submit, it has to go through or you're out all that money.
Unless it's an orphan, but yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's exceptions and I'm sure there's like workarounds and stuff. But I mean, so that's where Jill's industry exists. It literally exists because it's such a big risk. Yeah. It's such a big situation to get this thing taken care of. Yeah. And what I always think of is, okay, so if the government actually came out and simplified this process and got rid of the red tape and the bureaucratic process, Jill's industry could disappear overnight.
Wow.
I mean, maybe that's a little simplistic on my part.
Still
I'm sure.
The planning and like all of the other stuff.
This all has to be covered through insurance, right? Because if this doesn't happen, then they're releasing drugs willy-nilly that we're all then going to have 3 heads every time we pop an head. Like this has to happen. This regulation of this, I am so for this regulation because like
absolutely. I'm not talking about removing the regulation. I'm talking about just improving it. Like
they used to,
isn't there situations where people are still on paper, like they've gone non-digital?
That only recently it used to be most pharmaceutical places are in the East Coast because the FDA is in Maryland. So it used to be most things were still in paper. Only recently are you allowed to do electronic filings. So people used to have to like print out thousands of pages of work and drive them literally to the FDA as like a representative.
And that was a job because like then that person would have to be qualified, like because if something goes missing, that person driving it there is held reliable. So that person would have to be a qualified person for either they'd probably have to have a representative from the FDA and a representative from the pharmaceutical company to go over together or something like that, right? Because they would
it's
have
just
to
on the FDA doesn't care if you get it all there or not; they'll reject you. So yeah.
Wow.
Oh, what's the term for the rejection? You were just saying this.
Refuse to file is when you can't get a drug on the market for an NDA.
Wow.
So if a refuse to file comes down the pipe, that company that receives that is like cleaning house and super sad.
Well, I mean, they just got to rework what they did. You can withdraw your application and redo it based on the FDA's guidance and stuff like that. But.
So honestly, you've probably saved people millions of dollars because think about it like this, Jill. How many times has someone sent you the thing? They're like, hey, we got this thing all spit shine and polished up, ready to send to the FDA. Jill, what do you think? And you look through it and you're like, oh no, for this governing body, you need to have 7 more animals, 7 more deer tested or whatever it is. And for this governing body, you can't use a saline solution when you clean the whatevers.
Oh my God. I wish I knew that. I don't know that. I am, there's somebody down the line stopping that. I don't know that stuff. I do the program management of it. I do the process of like getting all of the people that work in clinical and it's called non-clinical for the animals and regulatory and like whatever, all of the departments, I get them all to get their expertise. I describe this like my position itself. So like regulatory affairs is the DMV like analogy. And my analogy for my own position is I'm like a really good gardener where all of my experts in clinical, non-clinical, CMC, which is chemistry, manufacturing, and controls. Those are the people that know like the cotton ball like origin story and stuff like that. All of those experts are my flowers, and if I wasn't there weeding and raking and watering the garden, then they wouldn't shine. But otherwise, you have no idea what the heck I'm doing because I kind of work behind the scenes to get everybody looking good and up to date and ready to go.
Oh, I see. So okay. So you're kind of like monitoring everyone's working kind of together to get this thing prepared to send to the FDA, and you're kind of monitoring all of it, saying like, hey, nope, this has to be, let's clean this up and let's take this out and let's add this, just so everything gets ready to be added, like for when they do send it up to the FDA, so that at least it was covered before it got up there, right?
Yeah, I get everyone who's talking basically different languages to speak one language and put it into a place that the FDA can read it.
Let me toss in another analogy that might work well, and you let me know if this is accurate or not. You also might hate this analogy. So Jill is like the quarterback, and she has to take all the other players on her team, the science related people and the money related people, and she has to get them to perform their jobs well in order for the whole process and the whole team to succeed. And I think when it comes to project management and frankly, like all white collar work, a huge like hurdle that a lot of people run into and that causes a lot of friction is when the science-based people or basically the creators of something have to deal with the money people. And the money people want to come in and say, what can you do that's going to help us financially? And the science-based people are saying, screw the financials. We're doing, we value the science thing. And basically what Jill's doing is keeping a harmony between all of those parties and saying, listen, we're going to get all this science crap done. We're going to make it, financially viable because this is a business after all, And I think that that's like a really important skill that just, people don't even talk about that, like handling personalities in this industry.
Dude, honestly, I could not agree more. So Jill, do you run like a lot of projects and like run a lot of meetings and things like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was an SME on a CRM creation this last year. For those of you who don't know, SME stands for subject matter expert. So I was an SME on this project, and there was a lady that ran this project, and I'll just call it, her name's Trish, and she was so incredible and was such like a badass to watch. She would come in, she would run the meeting. She was asking the questions. She was going down the line. She was ungodly organized. She was ungodly. She was so thorough. She was great at listening. She was able to communicate what everybody wants to everybody. If there was an issue, she didn't wait. She got right on it. She was fantastic and was like a huge part of the success of a project. So Jill, if you're that person, holy shitola, more power to you, because then you have like, not only do you have to deal with like jabronis, but then you have like assholes like me that are like, no, this is how it needs to be, and this is why it's gotta be like this, and you better listen to me, right? Like you got all that. You got people that are too big for their britches, and then you got the bozos. But then also, and I think if you haven't been on a meeting where this happens, then you're not on meetings. So with everything going on with COVID, how many times, Jill, have you been in a meeting and you've been like, hey, Greg, what do you think about this? And you don't hear anything from Greg. Hey, Greg, you still there, bud? What do you think about this?
You're on mute, Greg.
And then Greg comes in and Greg goes, oh, sorry, I was talking on mute. That is 100% bullshit, because he wasn't talking on mute. He was out getting coffee or making a sandwich or whatever. He was going to get shout out. It happens all the time.
Man, I believe Greg in that instance. I believe Greg, though my excuse when I'm completely not listening, I just say, well, I'll be on mute and then I'll turn it back on and then I'll say, can you go backwards and reframe that question? Because I don't know what, because I have not been listening to a single second before you said my name and stopped talking.
Idea. Oh, wow. I might do that. Okay, so I wish we could touch more on your job.
Yeah, Matt, real quick. Sorry, I know that we're running up against time here, but one thing, Jill, if you can just give a very, very quick insight for, something that might be important to a lot of people in America, which is COVID and the development of vaccines and stuff. Just just one thing that us, the normal people, we might not understand about this process, because we're all sitting around thinking, yeah, where the hell's the vaccine? Let's just get it out there and let's do it. Yeah. Is there just one little thing that will give us a better understanding of how that process is going and what we need to understand as it goes forward?
Well, I wish I had something cool to say, because I really don't know, but because I don't work on any COVID programs, but what I would guess is that I know there's special government programs in place to try and like expedite the process. Like I know from our side, like it takes a certain amount of time and money and paperwork to get something from being invented in a lab to like actually on the shelf. And I'm guessing that they have certain things in place for COVID to get that expedited. I know they do. I can't think of the term for it, but I think you need to be a big company at this point, and just like the ones that are in the front runners right now that have the vaccine, it had to be a large company that just has all of this data on programs that already exist that they can then pivot into something that works for COVID as well.
But if you're a chemist at this time, or like someone who does that kind of thing for like vaccines, this is like your Super Bowl time, right? Like you're like I guess it's like your draft, because they just expanded the league and they're picking up anybody who can get in there and hit a ball. You know what I mean? Like they want anybody in there, because it doesn't, like whoever comes up with it first, they're putting it through the ringer, and when it comes out, because they're actively looking for a cure, right? They're not going to screw us like they're doing with AIDS. Like they're acting cancer. Like, they're actively looking for a cure.
Yep, they are. Yeah.
Well, they're still pissed about all the money they lost on polio. You know?
Oh my God. Conspiracy theory Matt came out real late in this episode.
Polio. All right. So, okay. Well, Jill, that honestly, I really enjoyed that. That was a great insight to what you do. And that's really, like, I really am fascinated by that stuff. And when we have you on again, we'll get more in depth on like your, after you got held up at Pier 1, and then we'll get more in depth on your, on your current job, and you'll probably have figured out the vaccine by then, so that'd be great. So, all right.
I think
Jill's gonna figure out the COVID vaccine. Don't worry, everyone.
I think the only worthwhile pivot, if I were to recur again, would be going from wherever I came off into going into this industry, because like we talked about, like there's a lot of room for people to get a job here, and if a boob like me could do it, anybody can. So yeah, just figure out the map on how to get from A to B, and then get your job in the pharmaceutical industry, and you'll be kind of happy you did it.
All right, that works. All right, good. No, yeah, I'm with you. Hey, honestly, people put like, if you're in a serving job, like at a restaurant or a bar or something, you put office jobs on a pedestal where you don't realize the people at offices are fucking idiots. I work with so many lazy, stupid bastards. The wall. They wouldn't last a second in the restaurant business or in the bar business. They're lazy. Yeah. They're stupid. It drives me up the wall that people, like anyone in the restaurant industry, would ever put some of them lazy bastards up on a pedestal, because no way. Absolutely not. I've worked with some dopes in the restaurants, but they're fucking gems compared to the morons I have to work with. Also, the politics in an office makes me sick. It makes me absolutely sick. So,
well, see, and pharmaceutical industry is the white collar, blue collar job. Everybody actually is clocking in and clocking out because they feel like they're making a positive change and doing their best and all of that stuff. So just need more people that are actually trying to do that.
Every cog in the wheel in the pharmaceutical industry is doing something good. I truly believe that. Every part of it. Even, every part, and it's needed. Every little thing, I think, in the pharmaceutical industry is needed. That it has to be overly regulated, and it has to be overly done. Dude, we don't know shit, right? This Wi-Fi and Bluetooth is so new. In 100 years, we could all have thumbs growing out of our ass because we use Bluetooth. No one knows. We have no clue. We have no clue how bad this could be for us. It could be the number one cause of pollution, could be Wi-Fi. We would have no idea. So, right? Like smoking cigarettes 100 years ago was freaking awesome. You know what I mean? Like, forget about it. Our great grandkids would be like, could you remember those dopes that used to have wireless headphones? What a bunch of morons. All right, Jill. So we're come to the creme de la creme of the interview, and I want to ask you some questions. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. So question number 1. What was your favorite movie at the age of 10?
I think the best choice would probably be Bring It On.
Ever been to a cheerleading competition? We're the best. We have fun, we work hard, and we win national championships.
We have a problem.
About what? You ripped off those cheers.
We've had the best squad around for years, but no one's been able to see what we can do.
We're in trouble.
But you better believe all that's gonna change this year.
I
swear I had no idea.
Do you think a white girl came up with those moves?
This isn't about cheating. This is about winning.
Can we just beat these Buffys down so I can go home?
We might have to have a rumble.
I'll take out famous losers for $200.
Shut up, moron! You want to make it right? Then when you go to nationals, bring it. That way, when we beat you, we'll know it's because we're better.
I'll bring it. Don't worry.
The cheerleading movie.
Cheerleading movie, bring it on.
Yes.
Kirsten Dunst, Elijah Dushku, right?
Could be. Yep.
Who's married to Dwayne Wade? The hot Gabrielle Union. Oh,
yes.
babe.
Woo!
Rocket. Man, okay. So bring it on. All right. Did you ever, Jill, I've known you for a few years. You never struck me, even though you dated the quintessential high school jock, captain of the football team, prom king, even though you ended up marrying him, you did not seem to me like you would be a cheerleading type. Were you a cheerleader?
I am not the cheerleading type, but I was a cheerleader because my best friend and boyfriend were. Tom was a football player and my best friend was a cheerleader. So I felt like if I was going to see the two important people, Sarah, Ashley, and Jamie were all cheerleaders. Cheerleader by proxy.
To correct the record, I wasn't the prom king. I quite literally did not have an adequate GPA to be considered for the homecoming court.
Yeah, I got expelled from 2 high school shakes, so come to me then, okay, pal? But you know what I would love? I would love to have Jamie on here for an interview. I think
she would like that.
I think that I would do it. Would you do it?
I'm in, man. I'm definitely in. She'd be a great guest.
I think so too. I think Jamie would be a great guest, and I think she would be. And plus Jamie can be. She's a little like, I'm not saying rough around the edges, but she wouldn't be afraid to throw some like gaudy stuff out. You know what I'm saying? Like, she'd be a little blue, which would be cool.
Yeah.
So like we could talk like have guy talk a little more. You know what I mean?
Maybe you should serve drinks during this podcast and get everybody to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do serve drinks. You're just not at my house. So.
Oh, shoot.
But no, I would love to ask Jamie what was going through her head the night. Remember on St. Patrick's Day on the way home from Manayunk, and I pretended.
Oh my God, she wanted to kill you.
I think I pissed myself laughing. I literally think I did. Either way, moving on. Okay, so now we're on to question number 2. Jillian May Byers, what is your favorite movie right now? Or favorite TV show? We'll throw in that too, because it's just seems like a nightmare question for you.
How dare you, Matt? My favorite movie right now is Tootsie.
Let me tell you about my client, Michael Dorsey. He was a fine actor, but for every role he wanted, there was a reason why he wasn't right.
Sorry, you're too tall.
I can be shorter.
No, can't use you. Too short.
Oh, I can be taller.
Too moody. Next.
Too old.
Too stubborn.
You're too much trouble.
Too tough. Too temperamental.
Too pushy. Too difficult.
Michael, no one will hire you. Just watch me.
But boy, did he show us. He auditioned for the female lead on a soap opera and became the hottest new actress in America. And you know what? No one knows his new identity, not even the girl he's madly in love with. Soon everyone will know that she's Dustin Hoffman and he's Tootsie.
Oh, that is a great movie. Dustin Hoffman, right?
Yeah, that's him.
You know that in writing school, in film writing school or TV whatever school, they make you watch that as like the ideal script for a movie. I guess it's put together perfectly. But yeah. I
actually did know that because of Tina Fey puts it in. Yeah. Wait. Oh my God. Yes.
Pretty cool. All right.
Yeah. There we are.
So you like 30 Rock as well?
Yeah, love 30 Rock.
Dude, big fan. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, we have 13 minutes left before my wife comes in and shoots me. So,
okay.
If you could give yourself a nickname, Jillian, what would it be?
Give myself a nickname.
Oh, can I give you an example that might help you?
That would be great.
So we had another guest on the podcast. His name was Byrne, right? And not to give away too much, but when Byrne was on here, I think he said something to the fact of like he would talk to his wife and his wife would bring up like an ex-boyfriend, and he'd be like, "Well, am I taller than him?" And she'd be like, "Well, yeah, you're 6'3". He's like, "Well, I don't give a shit. I'm taller than him, so I'm better than him." Right? So his nickname, I think he wanted to be, what was his, Shake? Do you remember?
Not either Stilts or Stretch. I think he might have been Stretch.
He was Stretch, yeah. So his is Stretch because he wants to be taller than everybody. So something along those lines. What was in now? What comes to mind? First thing that comes to mind, you can give yourself a nickname. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh
my God!
I can't think of anything.
Well, I mean, that's our nickname for you, but
yeah.
Jill, please. This is a family program.
Oh man, you're setting traps for me. First thing that I could think of.
Yeah.
I didn't have the prep question. And normally I would ask my husband what would be a good nickname, and I can't because he's one of the hosts. So
yeah,
I don't know. Can I have a new question? I don't know. I don't have it.
These questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm taking the heat for this.
Okay. So we're gonna come back to that question. Shake, you're gonna have some editing to do this episode. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So next question: if you could host a TV show, what TV show would you host? And it could be real or made up.
A late night talk show, I guess. I'm used to that format.
You like that? I like. Do you never watch James Corden? I'm a big James Corden guy.
I never watched James Corden. I'm thinking of like Conan.
Conan. Talk about. Do you remember when Conan was on NBC? Right?
Yeah.
He was. Yeah. Shake. I don't know if you were ever at this house, but I had a house that was on Markle Street in Roxborough. Right?
Oh yeah.
And this place was a dump. It was 4 guys that lived there. We did a ton of drugs, a ton of booze, partied all the time. The place was like a pit. And like we all had younger brothers, so the younger brothers would come and drink underage there, and we'd have rager parties all the time, and like it was tons of fun. You know, it was awesome, but like it also was it was what it was. But either way, it was also 4 guys living together. So for 8 months out of the year, we didn't pay the hot water bill, and we only had cable for like twice for like a month, right? We had to steal our internet from our neighbors, right? So, but what we would do is we would take the cable cord and we would plug it into the back of the TV, and you were able to get certain channels. For some reason, we got like, with just like the cable cord, we were able to get NBC, ABC, Fox, and the
CBS,
WB or CBS, and for some reason we got MTV2. Don't know why. So either way, we got these channels. So we would watch Conan. So the way they used to do it is they would play the new episode, and then later on at midnight they would play the rerun of the last week's episode. So we were watching Conan religiously. Big Conan guys back then. Also, people forget this. There was a writer's strike. I think it was like 07, 08, maybe around that time.
Yeah.
And during the writer's strike, Conan was a genius. He would do this thing like, because they were like, look, we just have to eat up time. That's what this is about. We got to eat up time during the writer's strike because we're having trouble writing monologues and things like that. So he set up a maze so that when the guests would come out, they would have to walk through a maze to get just to buy up time. He's buying all the seconds he can, right? So, he did a great job of keeping the writer's strike, keeping things going during the writer's strike. But yeah, okay, so you want to host a Conan O'Brien show? That's a great call. Okay.
Who would be your Andy Richter, though? I have to ask this.
Your co-host, yeah.
Your little sidekick.
Could we call it the Jill and Il Pandora?
Yeah, exactly. Elvia would be perfect.
And
No, she should be the host, and I should be Andy Richter, ideally, because
Yeah,
she's got the stuff to be a host.
She's got real charisma.
Yeah.
I think we have a full spin-off podcast on our hands.
Yeah, she loves complaining about me, so I could see that.
Yes.
All right, so let's move on. Next question. What TV game show would you want to be on, Jill?
I always used to think that when I grew up, I would be on the Newlywed Show.
From the Chuck Barris stages in Hollywood, California, here come the Newlyweds. Yes, it's the Newlywed Game. Now let's meet our Newlywed couples for today. Couple number 1, married just 5 months, Jane and Gary Nave. Couple number 2, married just 6 months, Carolyn and Mike Stafford. Couple number 3, married just 5 months,
I thought that was just like a part of your life that you eventually ended up on there once you got married. Yeah. I was disappointed to find out that wasn't the case, so I'm still open to it if they open it back up.
Sure. Well, hey, you could be the host of it too. Why not?
There you go.
Right.
Is the Newlywed Show the one where the host used to go and kiss all of the contestants?
That was Family Feud. That was Family Feud.
Family Feud, where the original host guy would would grope the chicks and stuff.
Oh yeah, he had the long skinny mic. He was dressed in the gaudiest suits. He would walk up, and every woman he would kiss that was on the thing. It was
beautiful.
Watching it now. I remember watching it and being like, "This is this is almost upsetting to watch." Not upsetting.
Almost.
It was uncomfortable. Could you imagine when Louis Anderson was the host of
no.
Louis Anderson. I am Louis Anderson.
Welcome to the feud, the Lindsay family against the Hunter family. Dan, Adriana, let's play.
But either way, okay.
Life of Louis.
Really getting down close time here. Okay, next question, Jill. What's the biggest word that you know the meaning of?
Oh my God.
Just give us another acronym from the pharmaceutical industry that'll make us feel
give us a big
idiots.
One. Yeah.
Tell it. Oh! Matt was saying about clinical trials and stuff, and if someone in the clinical trial doesn't do too well and is having did not have a good moment, what is it called when they alert you?
Oh, a SUSAR?
Yes. Tell us what a SUSAR is. Perfect.
A SUSAR. I like it.
Suspected, unexpected, serious, adverse reaction.
And who would be a SUSAR?
The unfortunate person of a clinical trial that has an unexpected, serious, adverse reaction. Like someone, you're not expecting them to have their arm fall off or death,
Well, Viagra has its drawbacks. You can't win over them,
Yeah.
Geez.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus. Okay. So the next question would have been, what was the worst day of work in your whole life? But I think we went over that earlier when someone robbed you. Is that what you consider the worst day of work in your whole life, Jill?
That's not what came to mind with this question. What came to mind was...
What? Hold on. There's a worse day than getting robbed at gunpoint?
Well, in my opinion, it is... Well, because I didn't have control over that one. So the one that I made a mistake on was where I texted my boss thinking that it was my mom. And I called him an asshole. I texted my boss and said that he was being an asshole and that he didn't believe my fake excuse for leaving work. And then he immediately called me on the desk phone. And so instead of answering the desk phone, I went downstairs and left, drove home.
Were you fired then?
No, I just came back the next day and pretended like nothing happened.
Did he pretend like nothing happened?
He called me into his office the next day and said that he understood why I called him an asshole, but to not do it again and to be more careful with my texting.
So you're saying you didn't mean to text him. You thought you were texting your mom.
Yeah.
But you accidentally opened up his text conversation and you said, such and such is being such an asshole. but you typed his name into his text.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And also that he didn't believe my excuse to leave work early. So I'm also revealing that I'm like trying to get out of work.
Oh my God.
Excuse, a fake excuse?
Yeah, I told him that I needed to drive my grandmother to a doctor's appointment. And he said no. So then I texted him saying that he was being an asshole.
Beautiful.
All right. Good. Okay. Well, that's not a bad, I mean, as far as worst day at works go, it's not the worst. But all right. Either way, last question, and let's make it a good one. What was the best day at work in your whole life?
It was when I got a counter offer from one of my last jobs. I decided that I needed to move to California, so I pursued interviewing for like 6 months, and finally somebody flew me out and made me a job offer. So then my current job said that they didn't want to get rid of me, so then they counter offered me, and I said, by the way, I'm moving to California, and they said, okay, great. And then upped my salary and then let me move to California. Completely like just non-intentional, but that was my favorite work day.
Damn! That sounds like a good ass work day to me.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, that's how you advocate for yourself. I think that women in general are so much better at advocating for themselves when it comes to their careers. I think men are a little bit too bullheadish to pull off something awesome like that.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what. This has been a hell of an episode. Really, really good stuff. Really, really turned out well. I couldn't be happier with this. This was really, really good. All right. So, well, we've come to the end of our episode here. Another great episode of the Working Perspectives podcast. I would like to thank Jill Byers for coming on and kicking ass and giving us a really great insight on her day-to-day life and everything that she does and that jabroni she married. So this is, as always, I am Matt Lavelle. I'm with Tom Byers. Our guest today was Jillian Byers. This is the Working Perspectives podcast. This is the end of the episode. We're done. Bye.